Hey everyone, and welcome to See 'Em All Vlogs with Austin. I'm Austin, and like it or not, it's my goal to see 'em all. So this is the first episode. It's the very first movie release of the week, of the whole year actually. And I am joined with my two awesome friends, Trevor and Rachel. I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of them throughout this whole project. Trevor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Good. And Rachel, broken arm aside.
It's alright. It's about done.
Yeah, great. So our movie for this week, there of the two films releasing January 5th, we have Insidious: The Last Key and Molly's Game. And
Viable choices.
two very polarizing choices, right? I held a poll on Facebook and it came out to an exact tie, and the tiebreaker was decided to Molly's Game. So here we are. I think all of us have seen the trailers for Molly's Game, right?
I have not.
No trailers. We've seen it a couple times. The gist that I get, Jessica Chastain plays a woman who hosts high stakes like underground poker and is busted by the FBI, and it is, I believe, a true story.
I've read it's based on a true story.
Absolutely.
I read the blurb at work today.
Okay. Yeah, I did a little bit of research myself on it. I didn't want to spoil too much for myself ahead of time. But what do you guys think about based on a true story? I'm pretty sure the first Transformers is based on a true story. And I think also Insidious: The Last Key might be based on a true story.
I've heard Ghost in the Shell's based on a true story.
The live action one, but not the anime.
The anime.
Okay. This is the first directing project by Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin, known for writing 2010's The Social Network, 2011's Moneyball, other stories based on a true story in a more realistic sense. He's also known for doing The Newsroom, and he also wrote the 2015 biopic of Steve Jobs. Are you guys familiar with any of those?
I do know Steve Jobs.
I've seen none of those.
None of those films?
I've seen The Social Network. I dig it.
Yeah, I've seen Social Network and Moneyball of his works. He hasn't directed any of that, but as a writer, I'm interested, and I'm interested to see kind of how he works in his first director's role. It should be interesting to see his, he writes a lot of these biopics. Let's see how he translates. So the show itself, we're going to break down a little bit of our opinions, our thoughts that we have going beforehand, and then we're going to go see the movie. Clearly we haven't seen it yet. And
Wait, you guys didn't see it yet?
No. Was I supposed to?
No.
This isn't like a book club?
No, we're about to go see it, and then...
Man, Trevor messed up.
And then afterwards, we're going to sit down, have a little talk about it. Maybe not get too spoilery. Maybe get a little spoilery. I'll let you know. I will warn of any potential spoilers, but, discussion can't be helped. So... let's get started. Talk a little bit about the top billed cast of this film. We've got Jessica Chastain playing, I assume, Molly.
Safe bet.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar at all with Jessica Chastain's work? Zero Dark 30 in 2012. I believe she was nominated for an Academy Award in that role.
I saw trailers, but never saw the movie.
Okay. All right. So we got a lot of blindness going into this. Also, starring in this film as a lawyer to Jessica Chastain's character, Idris Elba.
So famous.
Some would say the gunslinger of the legal world.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was gonna get to that. I was looking up his most recent
Expectations
works.
were up here, and now.
Yeah. The last film we all saw together with Idris Elba was The Dark Tower.
Actually, it was Thor 3.
You're not wrong. It was actually Thor 3. The last movie where he starred was The Dark Tower.
Gotcha.
And I think Idris Elba's a competent actor.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, I don't know him personally, but as an actor, he's pretty good. You guys have high hopes for him in this expectation? You know, we see him a lot kind of as a action hero. You know, Dark Tower, play the gunslinger. Thor, I believe his character's name was Heimdall, but I might have just offended a lot of people.
I don't have high expectations for him because he's not the main character. I don't see him doing too much.
Young.
I think Idris Elba is amazing in everything that I've seen him in. The only problem is that he now is always just Roland in a slightly different role.
Yeah. I have that same problem. Like, you and I are both very into the literary, the Dark Tower, and it's going to be tough to see the gunslinger, you know, pushing papers and fighting for legal client rights. Also on the top billing was Kevin Costner, and I didn't really look too much into his character's role. Kevin Costner, classic actor. I'll always know him from Field of Dreams. Also, Dances with Wolves. Wyatt Earp.
I saw Field of Dreams in school in my, I think it was film lit class, so it's been far too long.
Okay, all right.
Kevin Costner, for some reason, just is not showing a face to me.
Yeah, well, you know, I think when you'll see him, you'll recognize him. I'll always love Kevin Costner for his work in Waterworld. One of the schlockiest films of all time. Just a fantastic plot. So, you know, how are you guys feeling going in to Molly's Game? What are your expectations? Do you feel like you're going to like it based on what you've seen, what you know? Does it seem like your kind of flick?
It seems interesting. I've read two things, the blurb and a thing that says the poker is not great in it.
Okay.
But it doesn't, it's also not a poker movie, it's more about the case.
Yeah.
So my expectations are in the middle, and I'm really hoping that this is a really good movie or a really bad movie so I can laugh later.
Yeah. The worst thing it could be is middling, right? Because then we're going to have this introduction that's way longer than our actual discussion of it. Rachel, what do you think?
I also feel like it's gonna be middle ground, probably. Like, I don't think I'm that interested in what it's about. I just didn't want to see Insidious.
So that's why you voted on Poll for Molly's Game.
That's exactly why I voted for Molly's Game.
The only reason I didn't vote for Insidious is because I don't have a Facebook. Also, I haven't seen the first two.
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of backstory I got to catch up on.
Well, let me blow your mind. This is Insidious 4.
Fuck.
Wait,
but, so, I saw the ratings. It has like a 7 on IMDb or something.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, it's now at a 5. Take it with a grain of salt, basically.
Game?
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't look relatable in the trailer, but
yeah. I'm interested. I'm willing to give Sorkin a shot at the directorial role. Finding out that, you know, I thought he had been directing long before this. I had known his name from the newsroom. I wasn't aware that he had these writing credits behind him. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see his work in the chair. So I'd really like to see that come forward. Do you guys have anything else to add before we sign off?
I think we're going to be late to the movie.
Might be a little late.
We'll miss the opening credits, it's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
We already know everyone who's in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. We've already gone through this.
Thanks for doing the research.
Well, we'll check back here after this is over. Thank you for joining me, and we'll be back. Hey, and we just got back from seeing Molly's Game, and, you know, noisy patrons aside, initial thoughts. I'm joined back with Trevor and Rachel. What did you guys think?
So, first, my complaints about the movie theater. Noisy patrons. And also, it sounded like Godzilla was constantly coming because of the movie theater next door had a lot of bass.
Yeah.
But the movie was still very good. I thought, not to oversell it.
Rachel?
I thought it was super interesting. There were some slow parts. It's like generally a longer movie.
Yeah, I think it was pushing 2.5 hours.
It was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
First, I just thought I'd run down. Did you guys see any trailers that you thought were interesting?
I really liked, what was that? You got there, Den of Thieves and Red Sparrow. I thought both looked interesting, though the Den of Thieves trailer was longer than it should have been.
But an interesting cast, I'd say, with 50 Cent. I think it's going to be a little schlocky, but it looks like it's going to be fun.
I'm all for schlock. They don't make it like they used to.
No, they certainly don't. Rachel, did you have anything that interests you?
I didn't really care for the Den of Thieves one.
No,
It's not up my alley.
Yeah, naturally.
Naturally, I would not like a cop movie and drug movie.
Yeah, I think it's a bank robbery movie, actually.
I love action garbage.
Yeah, that's what it hits that bone.
I do not.
Yeah.
Any movie you bring me on for that's action garbage, I will rate 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
But the trailer was literally like half of the length of the movie.
It was real bad about that.
We also saw trailers for Gringo, that kind of got into medical cannabis.
Also, the half of the length of the movie. Everything told to me, but
yeah, that was very
looks kind of cool.
And Game Night, which was another one that Jason Bateman.
My second time seeing that trailer, and the first time I thought it was gonna be, it looked pretty good. The second time seeing this trailer, my expectations have plummeted.
Yeah, it seems. I agree. It feels like it's just going to be very phoned in. So let's get to the actual discussion of Molly's game. We talked a lot about our initial impressions. You guys were kind of worried about it being a middling experience. Would you say that it improved your expectations?
It was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. There were a couple things that kind of stuck out to me and bothered me. One of the things that I want to talk about, we talked a bit about the actors, Jessica Chastain, Idris Elba, Kevin Costner, who I guess played the father. Who I didn't even recognize Kevin Costner. I forgot that he was in the movie.
You told me that he'd jump out at me, and the whole time I was sitting there going, okay, which one is it?
He must have played the father character.
I forgot who Kevin Costner was until I saw him, and I was like, oh, that guy. So earlier when we were talking about it, I was quiet. My dad has made me watch enough movies with that guy in it that I know who it is. Yeah. It's just like
he jumped out at you. I completely forgot about him.
Oh.
But what I thought who really stole the show that we didn't even talk about, who wasn't even billed, Michael Cera. Michael Cera playing a kind of unnamed, like an unnamed movie star that maybe what if it actually is Michael Cera?
Honestly. The book doesn't say.
Yeah, who knows?
Player X.
Yeah, Player X. Weird sense of time from the movie. I don't think it really conveys. I think one of the flaws in the film is its sense of time. It talks about how she spent so many years in LA and then eventually New York, but it all feels like it kind of runs together, and there are moments where our titular character Molly has been running a game, and it feels like it's maybe a week or two later when years have passed. How did you feel about the sort of main central arc, and do you feel like Jessica Chastain did a ample job as the protagonist?
I'll let you start.
Thanks, Trevor.
No problem.
Always just trying to build off of what you say.
I've noticed.
I thought the character that was written was like believable,
Mm-hmm.
and she was likable because she was looking out for the better good of people.
Yeah.
The better good, the benefit of others. And the actress did it well. Like, I was literally enthralled the entire time. Like, my attention span, not the best most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Long movie. The only times that I really felt as if I wasn't necessarily like drawn in were like weird apartment scenes. Like, I don't care about anything that happened in the apartment that she had. There was nothing there for me.
We'll get back. I want to keep talking about the apartment scene a little bit later. But Trevor, do you have anything to add to that before?
No.
No?
I thought she did a really good job. I thought her character was very good. I very real, probably because it's based on a real person.
Yeah, I wonder if, they say this is a true story, but I assume you make some kind of liberties adapting it to film. So I'd be interested to see sort of where the discrepancies lie. I wasn't as into Jessica Chastain's character as you were. I think Molly is an interesting character. I feel like the first 2/3 of the movie, Jessica Chastain really only put forward like one character type, and when she sort of becomes a more sensitive character towards the end, and she goes through some of these like more intense emotions, I think she really starts to shine there. But the first hour and a half, it really just felt like Jessica Chastain was playing a sarcastic character and a like quick-witted sort of just like, yeah, she always just kind of felt like quick-witted, sarcastic, always kind of above someone. And I guess it made the like later half where she starts to show some emotion and crack a bit a little bit better. But the I was just kind of let down by the first act, the first like second up to the second act in her character.
I thought that was a justified, like, sort of portrayal because she was literally just. She was so closed off because she was also that gate that, like, between, like, media and the courts and the information that she had, like, on all of these people that were gambling. Mm-hmm. So she only truly, really broke down when she's being questioned about like getting seriously questioned about like who she is and not like, oh, what did you do in the past?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean that's totally fair. I think like in a character arc, it was like justified. I think I just did not find Jessica Chastain as engaging when she was playing this kind of sarcastic know-it-all character. And I didn't really care for Molly in the beginning, like where a lot of people could kind of latch onto her. I kind of found her. I respect the hustle that her character puts in, but there were moments where I just kind of found her character unlikable. But I think where Jessica Chastain really shines out are her scenes with Idris Elba. Idris Elba playing the lawyer who is kind of persuaded to Molly's good character. He takes her on as a client, even though the odds seem fierce. And the two kind of foil against each other. Idris Elba being sort of the like paragon of justice, Molly showing on the other side. You guys have anything to really say about the? We spend a lot of the movie between these two characters. You guys have any sort of profound thoughts between them, or I thought Idris was good.
Unlike in Thor, I could not see him pulling out a big revolver and shooting people.
Yeah, it was. He had to act, and it showed off his acting chops pretty well. Where like the last couple movies I remember watching Idris Elba in, even going back to like Pacific Rim, he never, he was a cool guy. I mean, the characters he played were cool, but he was just kind of the cool guy.
Yeah, he didn't have really any depth.
Yeah,
to his character,
and it is kind of interesting to see uh, the parallels between Idris Elba's character and the father figure of Kevin Costner in the film as well. Uh, another gripe that I had that I kind of brought up earlier was there's a lot of voiceover in this movie, and it is definitely a directorial decision to have all of it. And I've always been a fan. I believe in movies that you show and don't tell. And it really just felt like so much of the film was someone sort of like it's Jessica Chastain just reading back to us what is going on instead of I wish they could find sort of more organic ways to work the plot points and conversations between characters. I think we could have sort of some of the supporting cast that aren't as fleshed out, like some of the gamblers that she associates with. It'd be cool to sort of see them deliver the plot more than just Jessica Chastain talking to herself, looking into a mirror. Did you guys?
Do you want to let the cat
in? My cat is pawing at the door right now. It's
Come on.
Hey, Ernie.
The cat only wants in here because it knows I'm allergic.
Did you take advantage of?
Nope.
So did you guys? That's something that I kind of noticed that bothered me. I don't think it should really weigh down. It's a directorial decision that I don't necessarily agree with. Did it distract from your viewing pleasure?
No. I thought there was a lot. It didn't feel like too much, mostly because I have a hard time seeing how else it would give some of the information without it. And so I also just really like Jessica Chastain's voice, and so that was pretty pleasing.
It's based like on this book, and like you said, you had trouble like with the time periods. Well, it's going from like age 20, 22 to age 35.
Yeah.
So to expand that like 12-year period, you need that voiceover, and it's just like it's probably just excerpts from the book.
Yeah.
So it gave me the feeling as if like those are the moments that I knew we were just going back to like Molly's game the book versus Molly game.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why I found the moments between Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba so charming was because it was just this dialogue. It was well written dialogue that was delivered well, where the physical acting in those scenes wasn't bad, but to me it wasn't as notable because it just had Jessica Chastain talking over it. So I mean it's not something that I can really it's not gonna knock against the movie, but I think it is definitely something that took me out of it at times. The voiceover is not bad. It just felt almost like a crutch to convey some plot points that could have just been told from other characters. Maybe that was them trying to keep like the true story
it being from her perspective mostly.
Yeah. And I certainly would rather her tell me about that drunken character that was always hitting on her versus actually having to go through and visualize the poor pickup lines.
Oh yeah.
Starting out with detective sentences.
I thought
sentences out of a detective's novel.
Yeah, I really liked. There were some moments where the voiceover had some like good descriptions for characters. It felt like something that you would have read. So I think your observation is very spot on. So with this being Aaron Sorkin's first directed film, how do you think he held up in terms of pacing, in terms of like shot composition? I thought the movie looked pretty, but a couple things stood out to me that I don't know if you guys noticed. I'll let you guys take it from here.
I thought he did a very good job. I don't know if this was entirely his decision. I don't know how much of it was in the book, but man, there's just an assload of cleavage.
Oh yeah.
And at first it was okay, and then it started to get a little weird as there was more and more. And so, you know what, Aaron, good on you, but also, really?
Yeah. Well, I think sort of like the sexuality of the characters is kind of important. Like, you know, they Molly's rise is in creating kind of like a male fantasy.
Yeah.
And she admits that. So maybe that could have helped with the decision.
My issue really comes in the scenes where she's not being part of the male fantasy.
Yeah.
But,
you think there was...
Idris Elba calls, like, his character
calls
her
calls
out
her
on
out,
it,
yeah,
like, dress better.
Yeah, and maybe that kind of plays into, like, was she creating the male fantasy, or was she in some part becoming it? Yeah, when you become indoctrinated, like, at what point is it ironic, you know? I thought a lot of the shots were composed very well. I thought, in terms of pacing, I thought, you know, I felt like it was a long movie, but it didn't feel 2.5 hours long, which I think is a compliment for a movie that's decides to go over 2.5, or not over 2.5 hours, but over 2 hours. I think one of the major flaws in Sorkin's directing is there were a lot of cuts. And there were not many moments where I felt like the scene was held for more than 4 seconds. It really felt like it was just kind of like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and by then we're at a completely different shot. And it was there were moments where it felt like we were behind a character's back, and then all of a sudden we were just more zoomed out behind the character, and then back to the original shot. So in closing, to wrap this sucker up, what's an adjective that you would ascribe to this movie? Like, I don't believe in the star ratings or like letter ratings, but if you had to sum it up in a couple words, what would you say?
I'd say it's very good, and I would recommend it to anyone who's at least a little bit interested in the blurb.
Cat's being distracting right now. Rachel, what would you say? A couple words, sum it up.
I'm really interested in it. I thought it was gonna be pretty like average going into it, but it was enthralling. Mm-hmm. It has a lot to break down, aside from like what we've already talked about.
Yeah, and it could be cool to even come back and do like a further discussion at a later date.
Themes.
Yeah, breaking down a more spoilery breakdown that, you know, if people are interested in. Maybe it could happen. Yeah, I'd say in closing, it's a good film that will probably be nominated for awards. I know it's in contention for the 2017 Academy Awards with the like limited release that it received. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if they've actually been released or not. The nominations. I don't know if it would really be worthy of winning anything. It almost feels unfair to give a screenplay nod to it, seeing how it was just like purely pulled from the book. But if I had to sum it up in a couple words, it was good. It was surprisingly good. The few faults that I pushed out are so minor, you know, it almost reaches a point of nitpicking. So I think that's 3 recommendations from us, and we'll leave it at that. Do you guys have anything to say before we go? Any place we can follow you? Instagram, Twitter?
Hit me up on Twitter at Jiminy Crunkett.
I have an Instagram, and it's Rachel, RACHEL .docx. Rachel.docs.
And I'll make sure that those are both in the bio. you know me, see 'em all vlogs, and next week is, or not next week, but the next
TBA.
film. Yeah. Insidious, the Last Key. I'm pretty sure Insidious 4. It's the next film to come out. But from us here, thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad we had a really nice discussion. I think it went on quite a bit, but hopefully, that's what people are into. I had a great time talking with you guys. I appreciate it. So there'll be a last little bit to this where I break down the spreadsheet that I'll be creating as I watch all these films and ranking them sort of live as I see them, which films are the best and worst. That's going to be a fun little experiment. Stay tuned for that to really close out the video. But thank you for watching.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Objectively Best Film Ranking Sheet. This is where I'm just going to keep track of movies that I see, and where they end up is where I like them. So I appreciate everyone for sticking around to the end of this video. I can't wait to see the spreadsheet fill up with all the movies we're about to go see. And I hope you're along for the journey. So subscribe if this is what you're into. Leave a like if you liked the discussion. Dislike if you didn't. It helps me figure out what I'm doing right. Comment if I missed anything important, or if you'd like to see something further from any of the people who came along on this journey with me. I appreciate it, and hope you have a great day. So, take care.